1, 2, 3.
What am I doing here?
I was about to ask you the very same thing.
Hello, and if you're asking yourself what you're doing here, I don't really have the answer. But welcome, regardless.
Not again. And again. And again. And again and again and again.
That's right. It's
Jesus
X-rated,
Christ,
the
that guy's annoying.
X-Men animated review show. Yeah, he is kind of annoying. Well, we won't see much of him again, I don't think. Maybe he'll be in the new series. Maybe he'll be a prominent star. Who knows?
Pretty ridiculous.
I am your host, Skalocalypse.
You're too stupid to plan this on your own.
Well, luckily I have a co-host.
Look, clown, I've had a long day. Or week. Or however long it's been.
It does kind of feel like
Gondre.
I'm not really sure how much time it's been,
Thought you'd like that one.
but it's been enough.
Yep. And even though it's really a week, it probably feels like a day since we've seen each other last.
Oh God, I know. But
Yeah.
with the advent of instant messaging, it feels as though you're never too far away from me, Davan.
It's true. Want to make some signs for me?
I already did. Well, I mean, I said that
True
in
enough.
production. They're probably not done yet, but
Right on. Can't wait to see
I'm
the
waiting
final
I'm
product.
waiting to get the final price in those decals just to be sure. I sent my boss off this thing, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, you
Fun.
know, why
Some
don't
fun little
we?
prizes for the X-Goons.
Oh, fun little prizes for the X-Goons. The X-Goons are gonna love that.
That's right.
Well, let's catch up on old times.
What are they up to? You think they're doing up there?
They don't have them. Still
I think
can't
I'm
go.
gonna change the name of this actually to what do you think they're doing up there?
I like that. It's good to
You
reassess,
think-
rechange. My wrestling finisher I called the blunderbuss for a long time just because I got this old school kind of gimmick, and then I decided because I thought it was funny to change the name of it to the Gears. So now when I hit my finisher, I'm giving them the Gears.
Giving it the gears.
Giving them the gears.
There we go. We have a new name for our segment. What you think they doing up there?
What are you doing up there?
So, what are we doing up there? You want to make our fun announcement for the next episode?
Oh, sure. So our next episode, after this one, that's right. So next one will be part 4. We're gonna have a special guest, Marvel Comics artist Adam Gorham, who is a big fan of this series and a big fan of Cable particularly. So we thought, why not bring him in and have him on the show to talk about, what is preemptively probably one of the most important Cable storylines, I'd say, in this series.
He gets a ton. It's like this episode especially is the Cable episode.
This one and the next one, I think we're going to see a lot of Cable. But yeah, Lawrence Bain obviously just in the show, so it's like a Cable celebration. And then the episode after that, we have a special interview with the voice of Mr. Sinister, whose name escapes me at the moment, but I'm sure Dad remembers.
Christopher Britton.
So
Christopher Britton himself.
Hopefully he brings that voice modulator they used to give that metallic tinge to his voice. But
oh yes, very fine actor. He was in that recent the comic remake on Netflix there, Lock and Key.
Oh really?
Yep.
It's I really didn't like that show, unfortunately. I'm a huge fan of the graphic novel, but I kind of tuned out just because it was so different. I couldn't enjoy it.
Open your mind to new things, Andre.
I do often. It's just,
you sound like me on my movie podcast.
I tried. I watched like 4 episodes. I just wasn't digging it. So, what are you going to do?
That's fair. I watched the first season. It was fine. I didn't watch the second
did
season.
you read the comics though? The comics are so much better. And I'm never one to really be upset when they change anything in the comics. I'm not. Like I was okay with the end of Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I was okay with a bunch of change, whatever Marvel changes. I'm usually okay with. But for some reason, I don't know, man. It's just this was like the joy of how good that series was compared to like the angsty teen drama that we got on Netflix. They just didn't. It was just too stark of a
Everything on
contrast for me.
TV's an angsty teen drama now, Andre. Didn't you know that?
No, there's lots of
They
good
did it to
television
Star
out.
Trek 2. They
There's
did it,
lots, there's lots of good television out there. Most of it's on streaming channels, but it's out there.
I'm even
So-
wearing my engineering uniform.
I thought about when doing helping you with the signage for your business about making the font the Star Trek font, but then I thought it might.
Oh,
I
that's
toyed.
amazing.
I was like, I toyed with the idea of like what Davan would like versus what would be a good design for someone who's actually, an
Fair
actual
enough.
business. So
Those
but I did
definitely
toy with
don't
it.
align.
No, not unless you got some
Very-
Star Trek nerds out there.
Sustainable landscapers aren't rich, I'll tell you, because I'm the only one, and I'm not
Well,
rich.
believe me, someday I'll have a big fancy mansion, and you can be my personal landscaper. You can live in the garden
Oh,
house,
thanks.
you and your family.
Sweet. I'd do it. It'd be you wouldn't believe how you'd want to live in that garden house by the time I was done
Should
with
be
it.
pretty sweet. Well, no, I believe it's in the right hands. We can do this podcast live. We're not in the same room, at least.
From the garden house.
From
That'd
the
be
garden
beautiful.
house.
People imagine how good my gardening segment's going to be.
That would be. You could literally take it outside and show them in my fancy ass garden. So that's right, XQ. You need to go let everybody else know about this show, and in the hundreds of thousands.
We need more
so that we get
patrons.
lots more patrons and lots more money, so that I can buy a fancy mansion and Davan can live in my garden house.
Yeah.
This is-
I could think of another segment. Continue talking.
yeah. So that's about it. Are we just talking about our lives, or just about what's coming up with the show?
Oh,
Vice versa.
this is our catching up segment. I just renamed it. What do you think they doing up there?
Oh, I have another play coming up with Hubtown in October. They had a meeting tonight to see if it was approved or not. They had read it last week or a couple weeks ago. They had the play proposal, and then some of the board members who hadn't read it were a little worried about some of the subject matter and wanted to go back and read it and then talk to me about it. So I fully expected them not to do the play, and I'd have to pick another one. However, they totally surprised me today and agreed to do it. So very cool.
Oh,
I know it's a.
which one is it? Can you tell me?
It's a Kurt
Yeah.
Vonnegut play.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you familiar with the work
You were
of Kurt
telling us
Vonnegut?
about that.
Yeah.
I am, but vaguely. I haven't read it.
You should read some of his books. I think you'd like them. They're deeply
I
dark.
think I've read one. Like, was it?
Slaughterhouse 5.
No, I was about to. There's a podcast, LeVar Burton reads,
Mhm.
and he does he reads a short story by him, and I was about
which
to
one?
click that on today actually because I knew you liked Kurt Vonnegut. I'm like, oh,
Well, you
Kurt
should
Vonnegut
read
and
his books. Seriously,
LeVar Burton's.
read at least read Slaughterhouse 5 and Breakfast of Champions, but read everything else too.
Okay.
I've only read 3 of them so far, but they're all so good. And this play, so I guess 4 technically. But they're all so good. And I felt like reading a horror book, so that's what I'm into right now. But I'd like to go back and read more of his stuff soon. Well, that's
Well, I'm gonna
mostly
do
what's going
my-
on with me.
I'm gonna go to what did I do with the stickers of Andre?
Oh,
That's what I call this segment.
you didn't even tell me you got them, so you left me hanging.
Yeah. Well, I did. I got them.
I hope one's on your vehicle.
Thanks. And ex-goon Ryan got the stuff we sent him. He got the book and the stickers, so that's
Oh,
good.
beautiful.
Everything
Hopefully
arrived.
you
real
enjoy a small effigy of me in your home somewhere, Ryan. Several small
well.
effigies.
Sure, he's burned at least 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, or do they melt? I'm not sure. I haven't gotten
They would
there
probably
yet.
melt. I mean,
That's
they're
not in the what did I do with the stickers of Andre? I didn't
Mhm.
burn or melt.
So
any
are
of
they visible in the room right now? Should we be able to figure out where they
Well, one of them. Well, hold on. One of them I sent to Jaemeel
are? Okay,
because
that's awful sweet.
Jameel's a wonderful human and an ex-goon. 1 second. I'll be right back.
I do love me some Jaemeel. Jaemeel, I know you're listening. You're a great guy.
Now, and the next one, you should perhaps be honored somewhat.
Ooh,
Andre is on my
yeah.
guitar now.
Those are my
Look at
favorite
that.
color tights, the purple ones.
Yeah, mine too. Look at that. That is sweet on that.
I like
guitar.
your
Looks
Locutus
great
the
on there,
Trek,
doesn't
Trek
it?
one too. Yeah, right by that Locutus the Trek
Oh, yeah.
looks awesome too.
Oh yeah, and my multi claps.
What are those for claps?
They're like for percussion, like you can do them individually. I just end up smacking them all with my strum. Usually, just you probably can't hear them because my mic blocks
Interesting.
out every sound. But
Wow, I did hear some
Yeah.
of that guitar. That's cool.
I'm a very aggressive, kind of percussive acoustic guitar player, so they just kind of enhance that.
I too, I use the softest pick known to man because I strum too loud if I don't. So
I use about a 1 millimeter just because I always
mine
have.
is like the guy at the store called the tissue paper. So thin. I don't tell. There it is.
The third Andre sticker.
Look
I
how
have yet to do anything
look
with.
how thin this paper this.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I like a 1 millimeter turtle shell or a 1 millimeter brain.
I just the strum's too loud if I
I'm
try.
not even a 1 millimeter. This one's 0.73. This 0.73 brain. I like that. Brain's got that nice like cat tongue grip.
Nice. There's cat tongue on these ones. Are cat tongue ones, but they're just like a super thin gauge.
But the last one, I'm leaving up to the X-Goons. X-Goons, what should I do with this final Andre sticker? One is on my guitar. One
I think a
is
tattoo
on
is
its
in
way to
order.
Jaemeel.
I think a tattoo is in order. Tattoo to your skin.
It's not a tattoo though; it's a sticker.
I know. Take the design to a tattoo artist and have them translate it to a
Oh,
tattoo on your skin.
but then that still leaves the question: what to do with the sticker?
Give it to the tattoo artist. No, I'm just kidding.
Give it to the tattoo artist. Okay, that answers my question.
Kid.
Well,
Stick
I'm
it.
gonna leave it to the X-Goons, not you. Hopefully,
All
they
right.
don't
Well,
like your idea.
my vote is on the center of that Wolverine mask on the wall, right in the yellow
If
part.
anything, I'll just get a copycat Spider-Man tattoo.
That's true. We could match. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be funny. If we get to the Spider podcast, we'll think about it.
Oh, 100%. We got to. We got to. That's going to happen.
Because right now, my body is pure. No
my body's. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, we were gonna get. I was gonna get a Hellfish tattoo if KBBL made it to season 3, but that didn't happen.
So a guy I know got the gummy Venus de Milo tattooed on his ass.
Sweet, sweet can.
Just
sweet
thinking of her can. Yeah, it was kind of started off as a
can.
joke, and then a bunch of people put money together, and he got that tattoo. So that was pretty funny.
That's pretty sweet. I was looking forward to the Hellfish as my first tattoo, but now maybe Spider-Man. And that Spider-Man more apropos because I like Spider-Man more than Simpsons any day.
I'm really surprised you wouldn't get an X-Men one. It seems like that's way up your alley.
Well, it is, of course, but I just haven't got any tattoos. So,
well, I got one planned for July 20th for my next one. So,
oh shit! Well, is that when you're coming to the city next?
No, I have a guy. There's a guy in Truro that does mine.
Yeah.
He did all of them. He did that guy. He did this guy. He did my whole chest piece. He did my leg, my other leg. He's my go-to guy now.
Right on. You're my go-to guy.
Oh,
that's where I got my sticker.
That's right.
All right.
And
well, we are here, believe it or not.
Yeah, move on to that. There's one announcement that came out today. Did you hear about the casting of Superman and Lois Lane?
No.
It was announced today. James Gunn has cast his Superman for Superman Legacy and his Lois Lane.
Is it somebody I've ever heard of?
Lois Lane, perhaps. Do you know who Rachel Brosnan is? The show The Marvelous Ms. Maisel. She plays Ms. Maisel.
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't seen it.
She's she's cast as Lois Lane, and which is actually
she's hot
great
stuff right now. People love that show.
I love that show, and she's a great actress, and I think would do really, really well in that role. And like physically fits the part really well too. Like dark hair.
Yeah. She could look like a reporter.
Oh, 100%. And I just had it here, and I meant to pick it up. The name of the guy that's playing Superman. I recognize him because he's in a movie I liked, but he's not super well-known commodity. This will probably be his first mainstream role. His name is David Cornsweet. He was
You're making that up. No, who's the real actor?
David Cornsweet is his name. He was.
Your name's David Cornsweet.
Corin Sweat, like Corenswet.
Oh, okay, that's not quite as.
I believe he's English. I'm not 100% sure, but he most notably there's a horror movie out called Pearl, that's a prequel to the movie X by Ty West, and he's in that. He plays the projectionist in that movie. It's a small role, but he's quite good at it, and I'm excited. He looks the part. He's got the square jaw.
Is he buff?
He's not huge. He's probably more.
He'd be buff. Play Superman.
Well, it probably will be by the time the movie comes out.
They didn't hire me to play it, did they? No, because you got to be buff to play Superman.
Anyway, there's still a chance I could be cast as Lex Luthor, so I'm gonna have to.
I assume I'm in the running for most things, but just never quite get there.
I feel like if I write a passion letter to James Gunn, I may get the role of Lex Luthor. Hopefully so.
Man, I think you would play an awesome Lex Luthor.
I would love to play Lex Luthor
because you could match him on a physical level too.
Well,
Not like
I'd have to
Jesse
get
Eisenberg or whatever his name is. Like you
I'd
could
have to-
actually just fight Superman.
I'd have to get one. I've always wanted a Luthor that's like, because to me,
Put you in the
if I were to get it, I'd have to get that Hollywood fucking nutritionist and dude to come over and get me super shredded. But
oh man, he'd turn you into a shredded machine in like 3 weeks.
Be awesome. The guy, I always thought Vin Diesel would have been a good Luthor, and not so much anymore, but back in the day, because the Luthor from the Superman animated series was the best Luthor by far. He was like, to me, Luthor should be.
Who did the voice of him?
Clancy Brown.
Oh, well, just get Clancy Brown to do it. Shave Clancy
He's very
Brown
old.
balls.
He's very old now, but
who cares?
He was so good in that role. Like the voice, the character. Like Luthor to me should be the epitome of what humans can achieve. He should be like, he's the smartest, the richest, the most like intelligent of all types, athletic, like shredded, just like everything. But like he's just jealous because no matter what he does,
Iron Man,
Superman can do it and be better. Yeah, evil Iron Man.
Yeah,
So jealousy is at the core of that character, and I feel like nobody's really played it that way yet. And I'd like to see that done. So the perfect depiction, I've said 1,000 times in other podcasts, is All-Star Superman. That version of Superman, that version of Luthor, the best. When Superman says, "Look, Luthor, I'm dying," he says, like, "I'm going to be gone. You said that you could cure cancer, fix all the problems with humanity without me in the picture. I won't be. Now go do all that." And then Luthor just spits on the glass in front of his face and walks away. And it was like he's just so filled with hatred that and jealousy that he can't even allow himself that victory. It was so good. It's so good. Go read that book. Also, James Gunn, I know you're listening. Cast me as Lex Luthor.
Oh, James Gunn's definitely listening.
God, I wish. I love everything he does. It'd be a dream come true to be.
He's pretty great. I gotta say, he's pretty great. I love Guardians 3.
Guardians 2, Guardians 1. Slither is an underrated
masterpiece
of a movie.
Slither is great.
Slither's great.
I mean, everything Michael Rooker touches turns to gold.
Oh, even Mallrats?
Yeah, I love Mallrats. One of my favorite movies as a kid.
It's a fun movie. What about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer? That doesn't seem like a movie that you would enjoy.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. All right, we're going to talk about this.
Is that the one? Is Tim Roth in that?
No, it's mostly just Michael Rooker and a guy plays his brother.
Okay. We're here to review Season 4, Episode 20 of the X-Men animated series, Beyond Good and Evil, Part 3, The Axis of Time.
So where are you getting these subheadings? Because
they show them in the episode.
They don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. It just says Beyond Good and Evil Part 3. And on the site that I was looking at for let me see here it is. Beyond Good and Evil Part 3. It's all it says. It doesn't say. Oh no, it does say the Axis of Time. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't notice it in the last one, and then the site that I was looking at for some information, just to back up some of my points here, calls it
most sites.
The Lazarus Chamber is what it says it's called.
Oh, is this one the Lazarus Chamber?
No,
the episode itself says the Axis of Time.
That's what I was going to say. I just skimmed to the episode and it did say the Axis.
It must be the next one.
No, the next one I believe is called, according to this,
the internet has these 4 episodes scrambled through a blender. Like
the next one says End and Beginning is what the next one is said to be called on this. I'm not sure what it is on the actual episode, but anyway, go ahead and play the last time.
Well, look, we're written by Michael Edens, who's written by him and his brother, wrote many episodes of this series. College buddies, I believe, with a friend of the show, Eric Lewald. And of course, directed by Larry Houston.
The Lairster, the Houston.
Yeah,
the Laird Houston. Any luck in procuring him for the show, Dev?
I don't want to talk about it.
No, so it's going well. I'm guessing his restraining order is still in place.
Don't want to talk about that either.
Okay.
Previously on X-Men.
What do we got here? Who ended that one? Cable did.
It's in there.
gonna borrow it.
And we're
I
gonna
just think
borrow.
that's so. Yeah, that's a hilarious.
Especially knowing how like jovial and fun Lawrence is, to be like, just to hear that voice, kind of, this is so dark and serious. He's a fantastic actor, fantastic voice actor. So
He really is.
he can really do it. But it's just so funny when you know the man to hear the voice on top of it. He's just so like, we're gonna do it. He does sound very John Wayne to me. Wish I could ask.
Oh yeah, everything Cable says in this episode has me cracking up, especially since knowing Lawrence, Uncle Cable, we can call him.
Uncle Cable, Uncle Lawrence.
Yeah.
There's Uncle Lawrence, Uncle Larry.
Yeah. So take us away, Andre.
Well, we open up with Bishop still lost in the Axe of Time, being pestered by that ridiculous nymph character, who
We find fairly annoying.
we both find fairly annoying. I know I sure do.
What was that? A great beam threatens time itself.
A great being threatens time itself.
Well, no, I'll talk about it next episode.
That's all right. When Dave was on the show and talked about who do we have to blame for this character, and I said the genie. I think that's incredibly right. Like it does feel as though they're definitely channeling that particular character.
Around that time,
jumping all over the place and just being ridiculous. His name is
trying to do sort of voices, sort of impressions, but aren't quite impressions.
He's credited as Bender, which such an odd character, especially kind of apropos being that the trailer for the new season of Futurama came out today for Hulu. So that's fun.
That's Futurama's still going. My God.
Well, it ended in such a beautiful note, but they're bringing it back for another season because money. Money. I know there's
that rarely works. I find these come back. I'm hoping good things for Metalocalypse, with my name being Skelhorn and all.
Well,
I love the Boondocks, and when Boondocks came back for season 3, it was not good.
Clone High is back. 4, that show has been on the air since 2003. Yeah, it's been 20 years since Clone High's been on, and there's a new season.
But we're looking forward to X-Men coming back. I'm super positive for that.
That's even
longer. There are exceptions.
When did the show end? 98?
But we know the people now who are making this thing happen.
Well, we know some of them, but I'm confident it's going to do well. 25 years.
No, we got to get Bo.
There are people that were born when this show ended that now are 25-year-old human beings.
Are they though?
Well, I would assume yes, they'd have to be, unless they're not human beings. If that's what you're implying.
Maybe it was.
Bishop is being pestered by Bender, who shows him that there's the supreme being that's pestering with time, and that is messing things up, indicating that it's apocalypse. He then shows Bishop what's going on with Tyler and Cable.
Knowledge is power.
Do you have the line? Do you have the line where he says it could be, it would be? Do you have that one?
I think so.
Yeah, play that one.
Maybe.
He says, "Is this what's going to happen?" Is what he says, and then
that's Cable. It will be. It would be. It can be. It could be. It may be. It should be. Can we be?
Can we be?
Yeah,
that was kind of funny.
Kind of ridiculous. He does remind me of sort of a Pip the Troll a little bit, but in a way more annoying role.
It's more surly and laid back.
So, I mean, we can. Like any action scene in any series on a review podcast like ours, it's kind of hard to describe them in any real way besides just saying a bunch of fighting occurs. So basically, Cable and Tyler are ready to infiltrate the government agency and steal the time machine they have squirreled away there.
Ready, Dad? Yeah, kid. Start the ball.
I can just see
a lot of sciencey noises. A lot of sciencey noises.
Some of these lines. Because he gets to chew the scenery in this episode.
What I love about comic adaptations, anything like this. So you have Cable, who's this jack shredded guy with one metal arm, military haircut, black thing around his eye, glowing
white hair, but
white hair.
Probably
still shredded, doesn't look
30
old,
or
really.
40.
Then his son is standing there in front of him, Jack, who has the kiddish, a super kiddish voice, but military haircut, blonde hair, full shredded, like totally shredded with like,
He looks
metal
like
arm.
Bjorn Ironside from Vikings.
He looks like he looks like
or
a
Dolph
10-year.
Lundgren.
He looks like maybe a 10-year, like 10 years younger than Cable version of Cable with blonde hair. Yet somehow. So basically, Cable is there's a separate facility that keeps this facility hidden, that the Chosen are infiltrating, which are the Cable's little band from the future there. That team being made up of Don Silk, Garrison Kane, and Boak, the robot.
I know him.
He's the yellow robot. Anyway, so
not Box.
No, it's Boak. So it's spelled in this, unless it's a different version of that character. So they're infiltrating a separate facility to basically destroy it, which will allow the facility holding the time machine to.
Anybody's fading fast. He'll make it though.
Accessible to Cable, yeah. Sorry, it's been a long day, folks. But basically, Cable's waiting for the shield to come down so he can sneak in. But the Chosen are having difficulty running into opposition. Tyler is talking to them, but it's taking longer than expected. So Cable's still waiting, but then a robot surprises Tyler.
I wish you'd let me go with you.
But if I don't make it, I need you to carry on here. I know you'll make me proud.
Can you tell me why a space gun that shoots laser beams needs to be cocked?
Maybe that's just like charges the power.
What is it, like a fucking Nerf gun? Like or a water pistol? Like what are we doing here?
It looks cool.
Kind of, but it seems like it's unnecessary when you're shooting energy.
There's
Anyway.
got to be a reason.
Yeah, because it looks cool is the reason. Whether it's a good
Yeah.
one or not is a different story. But anyway, the Chosen guys are in there, trying to get the shields down. Cable's trying to get rid of some of the robots while that's happening. One of them manages to hit him. He reached out to Tyler, who's also surprised by another robot up on the hill. Tyler gets into a bit of a fight with the robot. Cable turns back to go help his son, but then the Chosen managed to get the shield down, and he's left with a dilemma to whether go get into the time machine complex or to go back and help his son. Tyler tells him to go on without him. He'll be fine. Cable says he'll come back and decides to go for the time machine. But hoping, of course, if Cable is successful in his mission, perhaps none of this will happen anyway.
Exactly. So I mean, they probably would have both been killed if he'd have stayed. But so Tyler probably did get killed in that timeline.
Could have. We don't see it, but it's very possible. He didn't seem like he's holding his own against the robot, so he may very well have.
True.
It's funny because like, you see,
You yearn to destroy my resting place at its inception. A wise strategy. But first, you have a service to perform.
Slightly ahead of me, but good placement. Mostly good placement. So Cable does get into the facility, does manage to dispatch some of the robots and get into the Gray Malkin, which is a time machine that is like a ship. It's like a time ship, if you will.
It's his ship.
Pardon?
It's his ship. I mean, he stole it, but it's his ship usually in comics.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks like a Metroid from
he named
Metroid
it Gray
Prime.
Malkin.
Well, that was going to come as one of my X points later. So
mine too. We'll fight about that later.
Well, I mean, mine just had one reference, but you probably know what it is too. So anyway, he manages to pilot it out and is trying to. It looks a lot like a. Did you ever notice it looks a lot like a Metroid from like Samus Aran, Metroid Prime? It looks a lot like a Metroid. So anyway, he starts going through time, but then we get.
There are things that look like things in this episode. One of them is an X point of mine.
We see that line you post. Apocalypse knows he's going through time to stop the creation of his chamber, but he has another point, another plan for Cable. He's using him as a pawn here, so he disrupts his flow through time and sends him another direction, which winds up Cable landing out front of Xavier School for the Gifted, and interrupting a meeting between Cable.
Gifted, and he goes inside.
Interrupted a meeting between Wolverine, Storm, and Charles for some reason. So he comes down. He's not sure why he's sent there. Neither are they. There's a good little line there.
I don't care about missing psychics and time jolts. I'm after Apocalypse.
That's true. To which
you're boring me.
Me too. Charles tells him that, they have evidence that Sinister and all these people are working with Apocalypse. Apocalypse already has made his presence known, so that their end game may be one and the same. So perhaps they should work together.
Wait, are you talking about this line?
Suck rocks, pretty boy.
No. When Cable first arrives, he's like, "What the hell am I doing here?" And then Charles pulls up and goes, "I was thinking the exact same thing," or something like that, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So we see Shard, and then we cut to Shard and Beast, who are trying to figure out what happened to Bishop. Beast basically surmises in quite a ridiculous way with the projection on the screen. Like, he literally just guesses exactly what happened. He's like, well, someone's going through time, and then somebody more powerful also goes through time. It could send that first person off kilter. And they have a little diagram of a dude like this, like going through time, which sounds exactly the way Bishop looked when he was going through before. And then another guy going through, which is Apocalypse, and then it shows, his course get turned off in a different way. So it's all theory, but
all my research pointed to periodic dormant times for Apocalypse, but I could never discover why or where.
Warren's voice is pretty funny in this. Can never decide why or where.
He seems to be just, a little higher, a little faster than usual. He's worked up.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's a little worked up.
I think it's kind of interesting seeing sort of the old Angel costume, not the old Angel costume, but the older Angel costume, or not the oldest Angel costume.
Like the Defenders.
But the Defenders Angel costume when he's in the Archangel form with the blue skin and the metal wings. I kind of like it, actually.
Interesting.
It's like a weird combo of like the old and the new. I think it's cool. Although I like the purple and blue one from when he was actually the Horseman.
He's like angry and threatening, but he has a halo on his chest. So
he's still an
angel.
Freaks
you out. You don't know. You don't know.
And I also like how they show his wings sort of just form like a little shoulder patty looking thing when he's not using them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Or else it'd be pretty awkward getting around.
It's amazing how buff every X-Man is. Like, sometimes you'll freeze the scene and just look how incredibly like swole like Cyclops is. Like, he's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime level of musculature.
To be fair, they do show them working out a lot. Like, even lifting weights. Like, there'll be panels where the X-Men are just lifting weights.
They are heroes. I mean, that's what their thing is. But anyway, they have Sabretooth confined with chains and a muzzle.
Okay, hairball, let's talk.
Cyclops and Angel are trying to interrogate him. He won't talk to them. So then Wolverine tells them that they're needed elsewhere, comes in, locks the door, unshackles Sabretooth, and says, let's talk, basically saying that we're going to get information of him my way.
That's crazy. That's the craziest thing to do, even if you're Wolverine.
It seems to work out for him.
You can tell thought this series was ending.
I was going to say, this seemed like the way to cap off the end of the Wolverine Sabretooth thing.
Yeah,
with the Weapon
they just have it out in a 4x6 room.
Yep. So then we see all the rest of the X-Men and Wolverine. Charles Xavier's in his We're Going to War outfit, which is his green sort of fatigues. But basically, Cable informs them that he's discovered that Apocalypse stays alive as long as he have, because he goes dormant every 100 years to like re-energize or recharge, and he has a chamber and a secret pyramid somewhere in Egypt. Well,
find someone who cares. I left my son back there so I could get at Apocalypse.
And Cyclops we all lost people because he lost Jean. It's so funny. Do they ever?
We all got dead people. We're X-Men.
In this series,
of course, as X-Men, they all come back eventually.
That's true. In this series, do we ever find out that they know their father and son? I assumed it would have been in this storyline, but
no. But they hint that that it's clearly happened in the comics.
Well, Jean Grey knew that. She said no.
Yeah, that's true. No, that was Corsair.
No, that was Corsair. There was. Yeah. I feel like there's something that implied it before.
I don't think they're going to come right out and say it in this series, but maybe in this next episode. I don't know, but they definitely make it clear in this one, because there's a quote I have later. I might as well just play it now.
Before we go in, I just wanted to say I'm sorry about your son. I know what it's like to lose someone you love.
I haven't lost him yet.
They're having a little father-son moment there.
I like that. So Wolverine comes in with Sabretooth, throws him down, says that what they're saying is right. Everyone's working for Apocalypse at the center of time. But they're not sure why. Xavier can't figure out why Magneto will be working for Apocalypse. But basically they read. He goes into Sabretooth's mind to double check, that's where they're at, is at the center of time.
I have chosen not to invade the minds of others without their consent.
If it's important, get it out of him, or I will.
Very well.
I've chosen not to invade the minds of others, except with the slightest bit of peer pressure.
I was going to say, didn't need much coercing, did he? It's like, well, you
No.
should do it. Okay.
Well, I'll do it then. Oh, well, very well. I'll do it.
I will never, ever sleep with that woman. Well,
now, they still haven't come right out and said that either. But Cable,
she said she wants to sleep with you. I will sleep with that woman. He just will not change it. It's hilarious. Anyway,
the Cable's a serious telepath. He could do it if he wanted.
That's true, but we never really see him in the series use any telepathic ability at all.
No, or in the comics much in those early years, because he uses all that power to contain the techno-organic virus. But when in a pinch, he can still do it.
So the X-Men go into the Grey Malkin, and they go back in time to where they believe was the creation of the pyramid. We have a fun little moment between Angel and Storm.
There's no room on this mission for vengeance.
I don't know. Revenge can sure help you focus.
It's like Kill Bill. It's just all revenge and focus.
I mean, there are a lot of other things that play in those films, but yes, that's pretty accurate. So they all go into, they get into it basically as they're about to enter the pyramid.
What was the Storm Archangel moment you were talking about?
They're just, Storm is coming and how her ancestors or her parents thought this place was beautiful. Like this area.
I have that.
You and I shall take Cyclops back and check headquarters. The rest of you, see if you can find some trace of the Nasty Boys.
What the hell is that?
Well, that's not this at all. I don't think the Nasty Boys aren't even in this episode.
No, that was odd. You just go. Oh, I see. I see what I did there.
What did you do?
All right, well, I picked a clip called Storm, when really it should be this clip I called Loved.
Beautiful, is it not? My parents loved this land. And though my life was hard after they were gone, I loved it too.
I loved it too.
She lived in Cairo, Egypt a long time, just like Apocalypse. They have that in common.
Perhaps they should get together.
Talk about old times. They probably went to some of the same bars and stuff. Well, Storm was very young, but she was kind of a bit of a street rat or whatever, so she might have snuck into bars. At least snuck into movies. I don't buy that. She was a goddess even then.
Buy that.
Yeah.
If only they would look closer. Yeah. So the X-Men are basically going to invade the pyramid. They are attacked by this timeline's version of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and a big fight ensues.
Wind, howl and raise the sands of the desert.
That was to create a diversion so that nobody sees them going in, but then soon after that, they're attacked by the Horsemen. Some of the X-Men stay back and fight the Horsemen. Others go into the pyramid. Cable is pretty smug about knowing where all the booby traps are, even though Wolverine smells one. But Cable does fall into it and is rescued by the other X-Men. Implying that there's some changes between this timeline and what Cable experiences. It's funny. Why would you not think that 3,000 years from now, he may have made a few changes around the whole pyramid? He's like, I know.
When he says
3,000 years
maybe
from
he
now.
says it after.
Yeah.
You say before or after? Yeah,
he said, I know where all the
when
movie
you
traps
control
are.
time, you can go yourself whenever you want, like Apocalypse. He's like, you control the fate of every moment or whatever he said.
Well, even during the, I guess earlier, I forgot to mention that Apocalypse talked to Mystique and said that he had a plan for her, or part of her plan was coming up. So that's going to play into what's happening here. So,
That's why Wolverine smells two rats.
Some of the Horsemen make it into the pyramid and attack the X-Men that are in there. Once the X-Men outside realize that, they come rushing into to help, but it takes them a while to get there. During the fight, we see Cable lead one of them into a booby trap, which kind of takes him off the board, and the other ones manage to dispatch the other Horsemen. But Cable does take a hit and is hurt. They say we have to leave him behind for a little bit until he's ready to get up and move. So the X-Men go into the chamber and see Apocalypse in his tomb, but then quickly learn, because of Wolverine's nose, that it's not Apocalypse. It is Mystique. who is using her powers to take his form. And boy, were we wrong on Mystique never being in the series again. She was so in this series. A lot of this.
Wait, we were supposed to give. Who are we supposed to give a shout out about that?
Oh, we did several times because we knew he was
Did
right.
we?
Yeah, because she was in the last
was
episode.
Was it Ex-Goon Daniel?
It was. She's in the last episode, and I think the episode before that. So you definitely seen a lot of Mystique. So while the X-Men are distracted by this, they've obviously fallen into some kind of trap. You see Apocalypse hit some buttons, and there's a big flash of light in the room. Cable sees the flash, comes running in to see what happened, finds all the X-Men knocked out, and Xavier missing. Then we cut to the axis of time, where we see that Apocalypse has the last piece to his ultimate puzzle. Xavier, now confined in a tube alongside all the other psychics that he has captured. And thus, to be continued. All right,
was it Ex-Goon Ryan? Anyway, it was Ex-Goon Ryan, maybe? I don't know. There's an Ex-Goon. I'll figure it out. You'll get your shout out.
Some kind of Ex-Goon.
About Mystique coming back. Yep.
If you're listening now, let us know. But we know we totally gave him credit last episode. We choose in that one. And I think the episode before.
Okay. All right.
This isn't
the first. The outs have been shout.
The outs have been shouted.
All right. It's okay then. I'll relax.
If Apocalypse is indeed the personification of evil, it may be impossible to destroy him.
Why?
The conflict between good and evil is part of the fabric of existence.
He was just so hilariously angry this entire episode. He just keeps yelling shit like, I don't care. I'm bored. Shut up. I'm not going with you. Fine then, I'll do it. He's just like so pissed. It's pretty funny. And of course,
the most important move of all, the capture of the king, Professor Charles Xavier.
The capture
king
of
in
the
his
king.
chess match has been captured.
It's true. Yes.
King of the telepaths. The other telepaths even paid tax to him. How do you think he got that made?
You know, it wasn't a tax, it was a tad.
Oh yeah, right. They do pay the tide. They call it the telepath tide, the teletide.
Telepath tide.
He calls the other telepaths teletides.
Time. Ridiculous. Anyway, end of episode.
But is it the end of the tide?
Jesus Christ. Moving on.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Hi, Parker 39390.
Very specific number.
I have a cat named Parker. You go ahead, Andre.
7.
Listen to your heart. Oh wow, 7. Okay.
Nothing particularly great, nothing particularly bad. The fighting was fine. I like all the Cable stuff. I mean, it could be an 8.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8.
I'm going 8.
I'm going with an 8.
Yeah.
I'll keep it on brand and stick with the 8 because there is some fun action stuff, some fun Cable stuff, some good one-liners from Wolverine.
Good.
Apocalypse stuff was fun. You know, it does feel a bit like a filler episode to get to the last episode. You know, like we need to get Xavier with them, and this is a whole episode of just getting Xavier captured. Thanks, Parker. You're cool too, buddy.
Yeah, man. Lady.
Yeah, it's true. Or person. Or non-binary beauty, whatever you identify as.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I mean, but it was good. It was solid for what it was. The Bender character is pretty annoying. We're not getting nearly enough Bishop. He's hardly at all in the series. But,
yeah. I mean, it's funny. There's
it just seems like
A plot
we're
and the
doing
B
time
plot.
travel. So we need Bishop. We'll just shoehorn him in and have him wandering around in the X of time, not really contributing anything.
It's Cameo Fest, so they have to have Bishop for
not so much in this one.
No. That's why Cameo Fest was last week.
That's true.
Yeah. No, that's in the next episode. I was going to say there's more cameos to come, but that's next episode. Uncanny X points. All right, I'll go first. All right, so my first X point. It's funny it's interesting that it's such a Cable heavy story, and this is the story they chose to end what they thought they were ending the series with, and they decided to go with a big Cable story. I think that goes to show how popular they thought he was with fans
Well,
at
he
the
was
time.
such a big in that point in the '90s. He was such a
Even on
big.
the show.
Yeah, well, but
Probably.
I mean, I remember right around this time is when they put out the X-Force comics, right? And then they were like, "Oh, that's such a big deal." So,
Man, shoulder pads everywhere.
that's right. It's
It was awesome.
thigh pouches and shoulder pads everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, my
breast
point is
pouches.
the Gray Malkin, which I'm sure you can add on to. The
I
Time
might.
Machine Cable steals shares its name with the street on which Xavier's school can be found. 1407 Gray
true.
Malkin Lane is the address. So,
Yes,
is that
indeed.
because Cable has some reverence for the X-Men? Perhaps.
Well, yes, it is, because he also the computer artificial intelligence on Gray Malkin, he named Professor after Professor Xavier.
Why not Cyclops after dear old dad?
So that's why sometimes he'll ask for a time slide or a body slide, and he'll just be like Professor Body Slide. He's talking to the computer.
That's true. All right, your point.
Well, yes, I can elaborate on Gray Malkin a little bit. Gray Malkin is an archaic term for cat, gray being the color of cats oftentimes, and Malkin, which meant weak or little woman or something like that, something kind of sexist, I think. But, sexism in cats has gone hand in hand a long time, because just hanging out with a cat could get you called a witch and burned at the stake at certain times. And they called, if they were accusing you of witchcraft, they would call your cat, your familiar, they would call it your Gray Malkin. It sounds a little more evil that way. So yeah, there you have it.
Second point. My second point will be this little exchange I thought was interesting. So Cable says he's pure evil, and that's why he's got to go. And Beast says if Apocalypse is indeed the personification of evil, it may be impossible to destroy him. And Cable says why? And he says the conflict between good and evil is part of the fabric of existence. If Apocalypse is destroyed, evil may only take another form. And Cable says, I got time to worry about, I'll worry about that when it happens.
Call me an optimist, but I don't believe that.
You don't?
No. I think we can all be better and could actually just I don't think there has to be this counterpoint. I mean, there so often is in politics and everything. There's always this counterpoint, even if it seems unnatural. It's how can you counterpoint that? What are you doing? But I don't know, man. I think that's just a construct and not an inevitability.
It's funny because this conversation just pinged in my head because I had some things I was going to do for my comic and my movie later, but I know two better choices based on this episode. So, yeah, I think it's interesting that they're, especially Beast, who's very analytical and scientific, to be waxing poetic about the nature of evil and good and the balances, because that implies the existence of, good gods and devils in the Marvel universe. We know they exist because Thor, Hercules, the one above all, the living tribunal, Mephisto, Zarathos, any of those demon characters, Chthon or Chthon, any of those guys. So it's interesting. Pardon?
Sitarak.
Oh yes, there's another one. Nishtar or Nastarai, I can't remember them all, but there's a lot of them. Steer, that's it. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting to me that Beast would go into the concept of that.
I was waiting for him to drop a name, just a name drop.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Lord Alfred Tennyson.
Yes, he didn't in this one, which is funny.
No, he was just talking for a long time in that scene. He was just like that when he was talking about the evil and everything. I was just waiting for it. Just wrap it up with something a little poetic at the end and be like Tennyson. And I'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
He did that before. We just said Tennyson. So ridiculous.
God, I hope he still does that in the new series. Just quoting people. He has to. It's so good.
Awesome. Your point?
Oh, is it back to me? Is it? Okay. What did I say?
Third one. Second one.
Yeah, second one. So, well, how about they mention Lazarus, the Lazarus pit, or the Lazarus chamber? They call it in this, do they?
They certainly wouldn't call it the Lazarus pit because that belongs to another villain in a whole other universe.
Yeah. Never mind. But yeah, his Lazarus chamber. But of course, that's referencing Lazarus of Bethany, who was raised from the dead, which is in the Bible and all that.
Also
So
used in what may get me killed for being on this show, but probably the greatest superhero cartoon ever, the Batman animated series. The Lazarus Pit used by
you may take your leave now.
Ra's al Ghul,
I said good day.
who was voiced by the magnificent David Warner in that
Oh yeah,
movie.
David Warner's great.
Oh man, I
He's a
got
good Klingon.
sure does. And I just
Plays
got
an even better Cardassian.
he's a fantastic actor in general, but yeah, he was just in a movie that I watched. That'll probably be my recommendation actually. So yeah, no, this is super cool. The Lazarus Pit reference is fun. All right, my next point. Well, I had something here. What was it? Oh yeah, a little bit of humor in this episode. Like I'm surprised you didn't have this clip, but when Gray Malkin's flying through space, they pass by Bishop without seeing him, and he's like, and he goes, "Hey, watch it! Billions of miles of space, and people still can't drive." Which I think is.
Oh, I did, but you were chugging along on
Oh, go ahead and play it.
your recap.
Play it. The exclusion.
Hey, watch it! Billions of miles of space and people still can't drive.
It was like, I hear you, Bishop. Like I never speed really, so everyone else is speeding around me, agitated and shit.
I definitely speed,
Crash
but
into each other.
only 10 above the speed limit, as is what we've all agreed upon as a society.
I haven't agreed.
The majority of us have agreed that 10 above the speed limit is okay.
Just limits your reaction time if something goes wrong.
It's great. Been in very few accidents in my life.
Yeah, there you go. It's not about you. It's about I worry about the children and the cats and the raccoons.
Please think about the children
and the porcupines and the birds.
I worry about all those too, but I've hit very few or very little of those actually, because I often swerve and put myself in drastic danger than actually hit the animals.
Yeah, I was in a car where we ran over a rabbit the very second it turned Easter.
Weird. Brutal.
Yeah, very strange. Yeah. I felt bad. We were young, probably speeding, you see. I've hated it ever since.
Yeah. Your mic's breaking up a little bit there.
Is it really? Oh,
yeah,
no.
It's crackling. No, it's still crackling.
Really?
Wait, you might be right now. Son. You're good now.
All right. Okay. Well, I don't know what I did there. Maybe it was me banging it with my phone here. Okay, here's my next one. So I mentioned earlier in the show that things look like things. Like you mentioned Metroid.
Yes.
And Apocalypse's pyramid is very reminiscent of Castle Grayskull from He-Man.
Oh, you think so?
Like, if you go look at it, yeah, I do. I mean, it doesn't have the two pillars, and it's not colored green, but it has the big face, and otherwise there's this, like, stone castle. Yeah, I was just like, I was wondering if Larry Houston worked on He-Man. He might have. I think he did, actually. I'm going to look that up while you do your next point.
My next point will be Bender, the character, who's this ridiculous comedic foil that's leading Bishop around. Those who may remember the series may know a secret about this particular character and who this particular character.
Larry Houston did many He-Man mini comics.
Oh yes, the ones that were the ones that came with the toys. Those are great. Yeah, so the character that Bender is actually, which will be revealed next episode. I won't reveal that for now. Seems very off-brand to me that this would be the guys he would choose to use to hide his true.
It's almost what I said earlier.
Incredibly ridiculous to the point that, like, if it was like a hologram or some kind of construct, but if it actually was that character saying and doing these things, it seems really off-brand. Cool that they would put him in this, but also if you didn't know who he was, you, like in the comics, say, like a kid watching the show, it would mean nothing to you that he secretly was this character. It's only really just there for the comic fans, which is pretty cool. And I don't think comes up again. So we'll try to talk about that more next time, but I just find the depiction of the alter ego of this character very, very weird. Very, very weird.
Yeah, it is very odd. I was thinking the very same thing. Like, he's really acting like that, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's all smokescreen, but it's more than
It,
it's more than
it is, and it's a very effective one. Like,
well, it's more than it needs to be. He could have just been any kind of character. He couldn't even be himself because why would Bishop?
Maybe he's
do that?
bored.
Yeah, it could be.
You know, like that kind of makes some sense.
You're boring me.
So, again, my last X point. I already mentioned it earlier, but I'm just bringing it back. X-Goons, what do I do with the last Andre sticker?
I love that you're not
One's
even
on the
hiding
guitar.
the fact you couldn't come up with 5 exploits.
I could have, but I didn't.
I don't think you could.
It was a busy parenting day.
Yeah. Everybody okay?
Oh yeah. Just we took her out and did stuff, and then I came home and I'm like, I still have prep to do. Yeah, that kind of thing. All good. Happy baby. Happy baby, happy life, as they say.
New baby's too soon, is it not?
Oh yes, August.
Ooh, late August or early?
Mid.
Well, if you can tell her to hold out until the 24th, the baby will have the same birthday as me. So
it's a fair possibility.
Man, wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be something? You guys could have joint birthday parties.
No, we get our own birthday. Bro. I'm joining birthday parties, no baby. No, my own cake, my own presents.
You wouldn't share your cake in presents with a baby.
Well,
you heartless
babies
mom.
can't eat cake. It's not good for them. They don't have teeth.
It's true. My baby doesn't like cake. You're like, hey, you want some cake? She's like, no cake.
Really?
Yeah. She's not super big on sweet things. She likes berries. She was killing the strawberries today.
No, strawberries are sweet in their own way.
And the Hass-caps out of my garden.
Oh,
they're very sour.
All right, my final X point is
X-Goons. Tell me, sound off in the comments or on Facebook or whatever. What do we do with this last Andre sticker? Very, very handsome in these blue tighties. Yeah.
They're delightful blue tighties. So my final point is Stephen Ouimet, Ouimmette, who does the voice of Archangel. It's credited on this as being the voice of Bender as well. So that voice actor does both those roles. I think it's kind of interesting because they're two very different roles.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put that together. Like, if anything, I'd be like, is Morph doing the voice?
I mean, it may be that may be incorrect, but this is what I'm looking at. So
I'd believe it. Like, why bring in multiple guys? Like Lawrence told us, like when they brought him in, he'd end up doing like background ones and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. But one and another side note to add on to that, because the actor that does the voice of Angel and Bender is in a ton of things. Of course, all the standard.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Of course, all the standard. He was on Beetlejuice. Was he the voice of Beetlejuice?
Was he Beetlejuice
on the Beetlejuice cartoon?
That makes sense because that Bender sounds kind of like Beetlejuice.
Well, he was Pompadour in the Babar movie, in the Babar TV series, which is definitely something that resonated with me. He was Beetlejuice, yeah. He's the voice of Beetlejuice in the Beetlejuice cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Archangel is Beetlejuice. My whole world just changed.
Well, that makes sense with the Bender stuff.
It's like when I found out very, very soon guest of the show, Christopher Britton was married to a Klingon. Some things just blow your mind.
They sure do. Yeah, I used to love that cartoon. Shop to you freak at the Spooky Boutique. Anyone who loved that
man, shop to you freak at the Spooky Boutique.
That's right. Fantastic. Well, that's it. That's
I always remember the episode with the skeletons in the closet.
That was a great episode.
That was my favorite one.
I gotta go back and
it was.
You know what I'm rewatching now, just for novelty sake?
The only way to get rid of skeletons in your closet is to tell the truth. Beetlejuice is like, we're screwed.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not doing that.
It did a really good job of taking the character and just tooling it just a little bit to be mischievous, but also a good character instead of like the absolute terrible character he was in the movie. So, but the show was really fun and very good. Yeah. One time at a convention, a woman walked by my table who was dressed as Lydia from the cartoon with the spider red spider thing. And oh man, I was super. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I was super entertained by that. So.
Jubilee and Lydia and the big comfy couch. She was a
Right.
huge part of many childhoods.
Yes, yes. Many,
Alice,
many,
of
many
course.
young man's first loves, I'd imagine.
Yes, mine was. One of my first crushes was definitely on Lydia.
We'll probably mine be up there too somewhere.
Yeah, but like Lawrence told us, Canada makes the best voice actors.
Sure does.
Shows another testament to that. Great voice acting on that show. Then they had the French skeleton. He was funny.
Oh yeah,
Bonaparte. Wasn't his name
yeah,
Bonaparte?
Bonaparte. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
He
was a
was
great
funny.
show. Great cartoon.
Yeah.
3 seasons, I think, 3 or 4 seasons. Had a good run.
Yeah, I might
Probably 20
show that one to
episode
the
seasons.
baby. That'd be a good
I
one to
wonder
watch
if
with the
that's
kid.
on what streamers that would be on. It wasn't a Disney show, was it?
Might have been Fox. So they own it. Who else would
Hmm.
it be? If it wasn't one of those two.
Well, at the time period, there's a lot of things going on, but I don't know.
Nickelodeon, but it wasn't that. Definitely
No,
wasn't
wasn't that?
Nickelodeon. It was a Saban show, so it was probably wherever they were sending Power Rangers and this. It was probably Fox.
That would make sense, but I feel like it was made in Canada. But I guess that still makes
It
sense.
was, but so was this.
Right, so is this. Well, Beetlejuice isn't on Disney Plus, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find it somewhere. Shop to you freak it. Spooky Boutique.
He likes it.
Enjoy.
That's the thing that the mom used to always say.
Yeah, he likes it.
He likes it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That was from
this
the
is a
movie.
rush of nostalgia.
Yeah. Oh man, Beetlejuice, like my favorite movie.
Hey, check this out.
Hey, check this out. Comic reminiscences and recommendations. Well, I went with just a kind of an X Factor story that had a lot of these characters in it. There's a little bit of a Apocalypse. There's a lot of Archangel. There's like Cyclops. There's Jean Grey, Iceman, even though he's not, even some Sabretooth. So we've got X Factor number 43 to 50, even though I don't have 50, so I actually don't have the end of the story. I thought I had 50. I don't know. A lot of my comics have disappeared over the years. But Judgment War. So a Celestial shows up, also very kind of zeitgeist Marvel at the time after the Eternals movie, and that it happened recently in comics. He judged everybody that
Erisham, the
Celestial, Erisham the judge. But, lots happens in this Judgment War, so it's interesting. They end up going to this planet where there's what are they called? The Perfects or something like that. It's like all the pretty mutants, and they all could pass for humans. And then there's all like the Morlocks. So it's basically just a whole planet of the whole Morlocks, regular mutants thing. Because like they're all downtrodden, and there's a big war between them, and all this. The Perfects and the ugly Morlocks, whatever they call them. They don't call them that. The Rejects or something. Yeah. But there's a battle pit, and Archangel has to fight in the pit, and he has to end up fighting his buddy Bobby Drake in the pit, who doesn't remember Archangel. It's Beast is doing some stuff. So the thing about this planet is these Perfects think Jean Grey is the most perfect. Like she's the perfect human specimen. They think like the perfect mutant specimen. They're like, she's gorgeous, she's perfect, like she's amazing. So like they take her. And Beast looking all scary. Oh, and then there's like this side story. Like this one just interrupts it, and it's called like Judgment War Interlude. And it fills in what Angel was doing between the time he left after the fall of the mutants until he comes back to X Factor. So there's Jean. See, perfect specimen, they say. So yeah, check out. It's weird. It's all about just image and all that stuff, and that whole having to look a certain way to fill in thing. So check it out, Judgment War. That theme unfortunately never goes away with its relevance. And as soon as they get back after the Judgment War, first thing they have to do is Angel has to fight Sabretooth. 2 issues of those two scrapping it out.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's an interesting fight. And then the issue after that is the issue where Cyclops pops the question to Jean. Jean Grey, will you marry me?
They did that in X Factor?
Yeah, well, that was
Interesting.
the Cyclops Jean Grey original team book for years. I mean, it had like 75 issues under that team before it switched to Havoc's team. I think on it in issue 75 or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a good book. Louise Simonson wrote a lot of that story I just talked about, Judgment War, and a lot of the early X Factor. You gotta love Wheezy Simonson.
Interesting. All right. Well, mine actually, I was gonna do because I'm reading Black Hammer right now by Jeff Lemire, which is a fantastic series. But I'm actually diverted from that because we were talking about the existence of good and evil and the balance and all that stuff, and it made me think of the best X-Men writer ever, Grant Morrison's timeless DC comic.
You mean Chris Claremont?
Yeah, I liked what he did, but Morrison definitely perfected. I'm kidding. They're all great, but Morrison did a standalone Justice League story for DC called Justice League. Oh my God, I'm blanking on it. What's the name of it? Earth 2? It was a Justice League Earth 2 it was called, in which the Justice League are faced with in this continuity in the regular after I guess it's the post when they're first where they're faced with their version of the evil versions of them from a parallel world where so in our universe, or rather the DC universe proper, the Justice League live in a world where good always triumphs over evil. But on Earth 2, it's the other way around. Evil always triumphs. And the crime syndicate of America is who rules the world, made up of Owlman, who's a dark Batman, Ultraman, who's a dark version of Superman, yada, yada, yada. You can guess where it goes from there. So the Justice League are approached by the Lex Luthor of that world, who is the only hero in the entire world, who struggles every day against the fabric of reality to try to have good win. And he comes to the Justice League of our world asking for their help. And when the Justice League get involved and try to help, they realize that the structure of that reality makes it impossible for good to ever win. And it makes that version of Luthor an incredibly tragic character. And the idea of that just really resonated with me at the time. And it is a really well-made comic. I'd suggest you check it out. There's a balance to things, and upsetting that balance, no matter what side of it is, there are consequences. And there's a part where like the Justice League are talking, and they say a dark mirror has been held up to us to realize like where we could go or how dark this could get if we're not kept in check. And it's a very poignant story about for that time period in the 90s with those comics, but also for the characters themselves and what the kind of shift in culture where dark heroes sort of were becoming the popular ones.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was.
Have you ever read that one? I highly suggest it if you haven't.
No, I have not. I don't read a lot of DC. You know that about me.
Yeah, but it's a standalone graphic novel. It's not a very big one. It's by Grant Morrison. It's drawn by Frank Quitely, who I know you don't like, but the art's really nice.
Morrison Quitely's not going to get me on board.
But just read it, man. It's worth it. It's good. It's very good. You'll like it, I think.
All right.
You don't like the movie? Change the channel.
You can always change the channel. Is your remote taking us tonight to David Warner, you said?
It actually is. So at first, when we were talking about the nature of good and evil, I thought about the John Carpenter film Prince of Darkness, in which it posits the idea that if there is a god, there must be an anti-god, and that there's it's almost a quantum mechanics sort of view of horror or the nature of good and evil in our reality, in which a group of people find what they believe to be the embodiment of evil bottled up in a basement of a church. Fantastic movie. Anything by John Carpenter is great. Some are way better than others. Obviously, The Thing is probably paramount, but Prince of Darkness.
Wait a minute! Didn't John Carpenter do Ghost of Mars?
I said some are better than others, Davan. He also did John Carpenter's.
You said they were all great. I don't think that one.
I haven't actually watched that one yet. However, I did.
You haven't? Oh man, when I was a kid, I liked it. I rented it from the Needs
I'm
Convenience
sure,
store.
Well, the thing is. That movie's the subject of studio involvement because it was supposed to be a third escape movie.
Yeah,
it would have been Escape from Earth, and it would have been Snake escaping from the planet.
I would have been all over that.
But then they were because Escape from LA didn't do so well. They scrapped.
I loved Escape from LA.
It's not as good as New York, that's for sure. And it's not a fantastic movie, but it's a fun movie in its own right and well worth watching. But They Live, The Thing, Prince of Darkness, The Mouth of Madness.
Thing's the best movie ever. One of them.
I agree. It's up there. It's Halloween, of course. Like so many good ones. So give all those a shot. And then the other thing I mentioned was today I received this in the mail, which is the Arrow video box set, which is Arrow puts out the boutique labels. But what they're doing in this set is trying to recreate the fun of going to the video store, like in the 80s and 90s, and picking random movies that just appeal to you. So because of that, they have a selection of movies from that time period and put them in this box set. So there's Robot Jocks, Arena, what's that one? Cellar Dweller, Dolls, and Dungeon Master.
They're just getting rid of their like stock of horrible unsellable movies and getting suckers like you to pay for them.
They redid all these with like new covers and all these box sets. Like they actually remastered them all. It's not just them getting rid of old stock. So it's kind of a neat throwback to a bygone era of going to the video store and picking whatever random thing looked interesting on the shelf. So they kind of trying to bring that back with these box sets, which are pretty cool. This is the first one. So, but the movie I am going to suggest, I got the Criterion channel last week, and because I always wanted it, but I only had a PlayStation to watch any streaming stuff, and it doesn't get Criterion. So I broke down, I got a Roku, and I got the Criterion channel to give it a try. Because I love movies, a lot of high art movies, which are on that. And one movie that I've never seen, but is often comes up as one that's a childhood classic that people like, and one that applies to this movie and stars David Niven, is Terry Gilliam classic Time Bandits, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Have you seen Time Bandits?
Man, when I was a kid, but I couldn't tell you what happened.
Give it a rewatch. It's actually
I was going to bring it onto the podcast. I was hoping it was going to make it on to Hold Up, but it didn't.
Oh, what? You totally should. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And a great example of like an era of kids movies that's kind of gone, when like that maybe ends in a mean-spirited way or has some kind of some darkness at its center. Like a lot of kids movies don't have that anymore, and Time Bandits has it in spades. One of my favorite, and even just little philosophical moments that like bleed into it that you wouldn't expect in a kids movie. One of my favorite ones is like near the end of the film. I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but there might be a spoiler or two in here. There's this supreme being who essentially is God that's chasing the Time Bandits, trying to get back at the map that it's created with all the holes in time. And when they finally catch up with them, and then the supreme being reveals this is all part of his plan to test evil. He's created evil, and who was played by David Niven, and he was testing if evil, like how evil would work. And the kid says to him, like the central figure in the story, the kid says, why would all these people have to die? Because all these people died along the way. Why would you kill all these people just to test evil? And then God says, well, that's a dumb question. He says, that's like asking me why I'd create evil in the first place. And the kid goes, well, why would you create evil in the first place? And then God goes, something about free will, I think. And then he just sort of like he's like, something about free will, I think. And then he just sort of moves on.
That's a very Terry Gilliam line.
I know, and I love it because it's just like it like he does such a great job of pointing out the ridiculousness of the things like religion and God and all these things we believe and why we believe them, and that if you put them under any kind of scrutiny, they don't normally hold up. But he does it in such a beautifully fun, whimsical way that it just sort of like it's just a passing moment, but it's just so beautiful. And like you don't get that in kids' movies anymore. And the movie itself is great. Kenny Baker's in it as one of the Time Bandits. The bandits are all played by little people who are all great. It's a super fun movie, and it obviously has to deal with falling through holes in time and time being out of whack. So I thought like it kind of applied to what we're doing here.
I have a quick TV recommendation.
Ooh,
if you're fans of Letterkenny, check out Shoresy. I think it's actually better than Letterkenny.
Isn't that the spinoff of the hockey players?
Yes, and I didn't. So I thought it would just be like, oh, they're just going to keep it going, and it won't be as good. But in some ways, I think it's better. I think it's better.
Awesome.
It certainly makes me want to watch it like one episode to the next a lot more than Letterkenny ever did. But yeah, it's a good show. Check it out. And give your balls a tug.
Those balls.
Why not, eh? But here's our real next segment.
Perhaps you'd better take over from here.
I will take over from here, Cyclops. Thank you. So, all right, Andre and the X-Goons. I recommend you check out a great band. You know, from the funk. You're talking about some funk here. You know, I like the funk. It's a brothers duo, the Brothers Johnson.
Wow, that's a hell of a cover.
We got Right on Time, and we got Look Out for Number One. Now, Andre, when's the last time have you been able to get your hands on some Brothers Johnson?
No. You never told me to. And I didn't even heard of them until this very moment. So I will definitely look them up. I do like funk music, very much so. One of my favorite albums is...
So you're saying you've never gotten close to some Brothers Johnson?
Are you trying to make a joke about the term Johnson as replying to a penis? Because when you put brothers in front of it, it kind of negates it a little bit. If you said get a hold of your Johnson, or like play with your Johnson, or play, then I would get that. But
I can't believe you've never felt the power of the Brothers Johnson.
Well, I felt some Johnsons in my time, mostly my own.
Mostly wrestling. But yeah, check it out. The Brothers Johnson. I throw these LPs on all the time. Their biggest hit was Strawberry Letter 23. You may have heard that song before. Strawberry Letter 23.
So one of my favorite funk albums I have is by Brian Bennett. Have you heard of this one? It's called Voyager. All right, so. check it out. It was a Record Store Day release a little while ago, but it's called Disco Space Funk is what it's described of, and it's great. I think you'll like it.
Sick bass though, it's sweet, like kind of like disco funk sort of, because it's that era. Check it out, the Brothers Johnson. Feel the Brothers Johnson.
Cool.
All right,
I'll check it out.
Moving on. What do we want to do? Do we want to play a game of some sort of thing? I don't know. Let's yeah, why not? Here's what we can do, because this one has a lot of that in it. And our live remakes, as we call it here. So let's pick some characters from this particular episode and cast them into the MCU in a live remake situation.
Okay.
So lots of characters to choose from. Okay, Andre, you cast Bender.
Fred Armisen.
It's good. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good pick. All right.
The second you said this, it rolled in my head. I'm like, who's he going to shoot at me? And it's definitely going to be Bender. I can't pick Robin Williams, obviously. I got to pick someone who's like that. I mean, there are a lot of high energy comedians that probably work that, but I feel like Fred Armisen would be a fun pick.
Yeah, I find him annoying, so that's perfect.
I like him in the right roles.
I like him too. He's just in a lot of his roles and a lot of things he does. I think he's trying to be annoying, and it works.
Well, that's
yeah. That's a good one. All right, who should I cast from this episode?
Oh, sorry. I'm
on you.
Me. I'm sorry. Oh. My brain just rolled out of my head.
I hope you all enjoyed that moment of silence. That's was
right.
For Andre's attention span.
That was
holding
a
memorial
right.
service.
Okay, well, we already. Do we count Deadpool as like the MCU? The Deadpool movies?
Yes, though they're about to be.
Because then we have a Cable already, Josh Brolin.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, it hasn't been said that we only know Ryan Reynolds is crossing over.
Yeah. Well, yeah, who would you cast as Cable then?
Lawrence Bain.
Who would you really cast as Cable then? I'm sure Bain.
I like Lawrence Bain as Cable. Honestly,
I like the voice a lot for sure, but he doesn't really fit the physical profile.
Doesn't he though? Fine.
Doesn't he?
Well, You see who was campaigning for it a lot too when they were talking about it was Stephen Lang.
I was gonna say he was, but I think he's getting a bit long in the tooth as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Jeez, that's tough. Lawrence
Still,
Fane.
I think, and I mean, if you want him to play an old soldier from the future, I think Stallone would have been an all right choice too. But I think Josh Brolin was serviceable. I liked him in the role.
Yeah, he was fine as Cable.
But yeah, it's got to be someone that's like old but not too old, you know.
It is tough. I don't.
You know what? You know, it would be cool if he were to get shredded. Nick Offerman.
As Cable?
Yeah, it'd be great. He's got that voice, that deep voice. He's got that piercing stare, those blue eyes. I think he'd be all right.
It's interesting.
I mean, he might be too old now, but he was great in The Last of Us.
He was, yeah.
Probably the best episode of that show. That show was fantastic, though.
It was a good show. It kind of, by the end of it, I was just like, all right, let's get on.
Oh man, that last episode was harrowingly good, I thought.
Yeah. It was a good show.
Pedro Pascal's the man.
I agree. All right, pick someone that's not Cable because I'm coming up blank because I kind of think I would pick Josh Brolin.
Yeah, he's a good choice.
I'm trying to think of people who aren't too old but sort of have that gray hair.
All right, Gambit. Who'd you guess is Gambit? He's briefly in this episode.
Gambit.
Channing Tatum.
No,
who almost was him.
Tatum. Who would play Gambit? It is a tough one. Maybe if we could hire like a French Canadian. And no, you should probably hire like someone from Louisiana, I guess, right? You want that?
I don't know how deep. I don't know how deep that representation is needed. So,
yeah. Well, French Canadian then maybe, or perhaps an Acadian like yourself, Andre.
Perhaps I know who.
Perhaps Robert Maillet.
I know who I would cast if you need help.
I do need help.
Did you ever watch Lost?
Yeah.
No? Did you watch The Vampire Diaries?
Yeah.
Ian Somerhalder, who was in both of those series, he was in Lost.
You're making that up again too. That's like Corn Sweater.
No, real dude. And he's from Louisiana.
Okay, perfect. Back in the day, I always wanted Harry Connick Jr. to play Gambit.
Well, he's from Louisiana as well, actually.
Yeah, but he's too long in the tooth.
There's quite a few actors that are from Louisiana that would probably fit the bill. Like Harry Connick Jr. is a bit too old. Sean Patrick Flannery's a bit too old. Jared Leto, I don't want to see as Gambit, but James Landry Herbert is kind of interesting. He might be all right. There's some Mark Duplass, but he's a bit old too and not quite wrong. Tyler Perry's from Louisiana. But yeah, I think Ian's he does actually look like Gambit. He might be.
Yeah, pick him then.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot of young actors. That's my problem.
Zachary Levi, Shazam, is from Louisiana as well. But
Zach Levy, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be great Gambit. He might be. He could probably pull off the accent. He's tall and he's handsome. He's got, and you give him the long hair, he could probably pull it off.
I'd give him the shot. He's not the right kind of handsome. He's goofy.
Check out this guy, Ian. Just look up Ian Somerhalder.
Ian, what now? What now? Somerhalder.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking him up. We're looking this up.
He's 44. So yeah.
44.
Yeah.
That's pretty old.
But he still looks. He looks like he's in his 30s.
In a one-off, yeah, for sure. But yeah, see, it's hard. I don't know anyone young enough to play any of these people for 20 years. That's my problem.
Well, he was on the Vampire Diaries for 10 seasons or something. How long it was on? 178 seasons, 171 episodes. So that was a long series. Plus Lost for 2 seasons.
It's me who I'd get to play Apocalypse.
Who would you get to play Apocalypse? Andre
Oded Fair.
Right. Who?
Oded Fair.
The guy that played Curse in Thor 2?
Oded Fair played Curse.
What's his name?
He's the guy from The Mummy. He was the long-haired, handsome guy.
Oh, that guy. He's on Star Trek.
Yeah.
He's on Discovery. He's the dude.
Yeah, exactly. He's Admiral Vance.
Why him? Just because
Because I think it should be an older actor. He's
Who's Egyptian
from
or
that
looks
part of the
Egyptian?
world.
Is he, or is
Yeah,
he just one of those
exactly.
actors that's dark skin? He's like Iranian, isn't he?
Whatever. I don't know any Egyptian actors off the top of my head.
He's from a desert country. It's the same thing.
I don't think friggin' Oscar Isaac's from Egypt. He played Apocalypse and Moon Knight.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, he's like
What is fair, man? He's a good actor. He'd play it a lot
he's
better than
Hispanic,
friggin'
isn't
Oscar
he?
Isaac.
I'm pretty
did.
sure he's Hispanic. Like his family's from It's I can't remember what country. It's not one of the obvious ones. It's not like Mexico, but anyway, no, yeah, that's not a bad choice. Oscar Isaac's a great actor, and he probably wouldn't have been good Apocalypse. It just wasn't a good movie.
He's Israeli.
Oh, okay, not at all. Oh, the guy from The Mummy was Israeli.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac's from Guatemala.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's,
Oded Fair. That's my pick.
That's not a bad pick. I don't know if I pick him, though.
Who'd you pick then?
Actually, it's like one of those things where you think about time, like where in time would you pick this actor from? And do you know Brian? He played Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He was on X-Files. He played for that guy. Brian something is his name.
Yeah, Brian Johnson.
Is that his name?
Yeah, he was in a lot of Star Trek roles. He was buddies
Right,
with
he
Arnold
played aliens in Star
Schwarzenegger.
Trek a lot. Is it John Stinn?
Johnson or Johnston, one or the other. Yeah.
Well, that's actually the name of the Liver King guy. That's funny. Same dude.
The same dude that pulled it.
Yeah, Shao Kahn. That guy, like, he's got that. Like, he was jacked. He had the big jawline. He looked like a big tough guy.
Yeah.
He would have been cool.
So he played good aliens on Star Trek. Good scary
Yeah,
aliens.
and he wasn't a bad actor either. Brian Thompson.
No, he wasn't. Oh, Thompson.
Yeah,
something like that.
But he's probably up there now. Oh man, is he ever? Based on this photo I'm looking at.
Oh yeah, he's probably like 70 now, man.
63.
Hmm.
He's in a lot of movies.
Yeah, he's a big cool villain or something.
Lionheart, Hard to Kill, Cobra, the Stallone classic.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. He was great in the X-Files. He was like an alien bounty hunter or something. He'd show up every once in a while.
Interesting. Well, I didn't do too good on the live remakes tonight, but I like my Oded Fair pick.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty happy with that one. I think it's a fantastic pick.
I agree.
Thanks. I needed that, I guess. All right, well, Professor.
Am I Professor?
All I need now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
Contact them.
Acknowledge. All right. So
whoa, too soon.
The Halifax explosion was too soon?
Yes.
Nobody in this podcast who isn't from Nova Scotia would understand that reference.
I could practically spit on the anchor from here.
There's 700 people aboard that train. I have to stop it.
It's Coleman. We named a ferry after him. Great hero.
That's true. Is it good Canadian
You know what's
hero?
funny about the Halifax explosion? Here's a side track from. Actually, you know what? We're gonna do homework. We're gonna do a little homework with Professor Davan.
All right. Well, your homework is to watch Beyond Good and Evil Part 4, End and Beginning, which I believe wholeheartedly, and I know that the Leewalds mentioned this too, to be what they thought to be the last episode of the series.
Yeah.
This whole 4-parter smacks of them thinking this was the end of the show.
Yeah, for sure. They didn't have to answer questions like why is Bender the character he turns out to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, now it's time for homework with Professor Davan.
Knowledge is power.
Because knowledge is power. So,
sure is.
During the Halifax explosion, some of the sailors from the ship knew what was going to happen at the explosion. I mean, that's how Vince Coleman found out. Some of the sailors were freaking out and running through the streets, but no one was believing them. So they come across this one sailor comes across this woman holding her baby, and he wants to save the baby, but of course the woman doesn't listen to him. He's like, we got to get out of here, and she doesn't listen. So he takes the baby
This is with Dishpan Annie.
What?
Is this about the famous woman that survived the explosion?
Is that her name, Dishpan Annie?
Well, if this is the same story, there's like a story about a baby that was blown into like a dishpan or something and survived because of that. But I'm not sure of the same story.
No, this isn't it. Okay. This is so the sailor takes the baby and starts running away with the baby. So essentially kidnaps the baby, and the mother chases after him. And it worked. The mother and the baby survived because they ran away far enough because he was so. I don't know. It's just funny that it's not impossible that stealing a baby and running through the streets is a wrong decision. Usually it's not a good decision, stealing somebody's baby and running away through the streets. But there is a possibility that's the right thing to do in a situation.
I will add on to that just because I entered this to the conversation. I must have finished it. Ashpan Annie was the name given to this lady. She was born in 1916 and died in 2010. Her name was Anne Welsh, and she was one of the few Halifax explosion survivors. When she was 23 months old, her brother Edwin and her mother Anne were killed in the blast, which leveled most of Barrington Street structure. She was blown under the kitchen stove where the still warm ashes in the ashpan kept her alive until she was rescued by a soldier. Sergeant Davies and his dog, along with a neighbor, Mr. Hennenberry, who was looking for his own family, who lived nearby. Her father was a soldier who was overseas at the time, so he was still alive. She was discovered by her grandmother, and she worked in laundry at a young
that's the
age.
thing. It happened in winter, so a lot of people just froze to death.
That's true. But she lived most of her life in the Hydrostone district in Halifax and died there in 2010. She would have been almost 100 years old, 94 years old.
No, that's 96. A good run.
1916 to 2016 would have been 100, so she would have been 94.
But on that somber note,
sometimes kidnapping a baby is okay.
Yeah, exactly. Support the show at patreon.com. So that's X-Men Review Show. So Andre can buy me that greenhouse to live in.
I'm not buying it for you. You're living in my greenhouse.
But I won't charge you. I won't charge you rent. Buying your greenhouse. Yeah, exactly.
I won't charge you rent. It'll be part of your fee.
You can contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitches. Find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcast, and please like, review, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your reviews or what you got to say about our show.
Give us those sweet reviews.
Are you listening to it because you don't like it? Because that's on you. We are also a proud member of these United Federations of Podcasts, aren't we, Andre? It's a noble federation. It's quite noble.
Quite noble.
With that noble logo. We get some stickers on the way for that. And, of course, we have Hold Up a Movie podcast. This week's episode has been pushed back a week because Das Boot is 3 weeks long on its own. And we will be reviewing boat movies.
You guys are doing Das Boot?
Yep. Kevin, our guest, picked Das Boot.
Well, you better be watching the 6-hour cut. That's all I'm saying.
I am not. I am watching the 3-hour and 40-minute cut, and that's plenty.
Well, then you are not watching enough Das Boot, my friend.
Now I'll have to settle with as much Das Boot as I can handle.
I think you should.
Perhaps my appetite for Das Boot isn't as big as yours. I'm not as big as you are.
Then you, sir, do not love Das Boot.
Well, I'm 40 minutes in, and so far I'm not loving Das Boot, but we'll see.
40 minutes in. It's a long time. Yeah. Just not enjoy the movie.
Well, that's nothing in a 3-hour and 40-minute movie. That's the thing. Well, that's in a regular movie, that's like the first 5 minutes.
I'm just finding out who the people in the movie are.
Yeah, and I don't care about any of them so far, but we'll see. And there's also the Super Mater Brothers, where we do many things. They review reality shows, but we also do the Mary Mater Marvel Society over there, where we just reviewed Across the Spider-Verse, and we'll review Secret Invasion once it's done. I've watched the first episode of that so far. So, it's getting a lot of slag. I think it's fine so far. It's going to be a slow burn story. It's Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I gotta catch up on that.
It's fine. I thought the last 20 minutes of the first episode was quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also Trivial Debates. Next one is on. I can't remember. I think they have a Pride one coming up. I don't know if that's the next one. I think they're doing a Pride Debates. And what's going on over there? Oh, hold on. Actually, hold on.
next episode of the Graphic Histories podcast comes out on Monday. It is with Indigenous creator Tara Odibert, who does animated shorts. She has a feature-length movie she's working on now, coming out soon. Also, a bunch of kids'
Feature-length
books.
movie, wow.
Animated movie, which sounds amazing. A bunch of kids' books. A lot of really cool projects. She's an animator and a comic artist, former teacher, great contributor to Indigenous culture and creating shows that speak to Indigenous members of the community. So super cool, very great interview. She's a graphic designer by trade too, so we had a lot to talk about. And just a very cool person. And yeah, I was very happy to chat with her. We had a great conversation, and you can tune into that on Monday. And also trying just to get more people that aren't, not that I try to like tailor what I have to whatever, but I obviously want to have more female voices on the show, and it's hard to track down any comic creators that are female or even just ethnically diverse too, just to get on the show. So I'm trying, and hopefully when I get
into that all the time on my shows too. It's a struggle. It's a constant struggle.
Well, I want to be more inclusive and represent all walks of life, but it's only who you can get, right? Sometimes. So
there was a bunch of dudes that wanted to talk shit.
Yeah. Which is fine, I guess, but it's like, I'd like to have as many voices represented as possible. So working on it, but yeah, this one went really well. It was great. She was super cool, and we had a great conversation. So
very good, very good. There's also Aiming on Track. I think I'm on the next one. It was going to be Sata Masagana I was bringing to the show by the Abyssinians, but I've been feeling funky lately, so I changed that to Marcus Miller. We're going to listen to some Marcus Miller. So if you like bass, it gets no better than Marcus Miller. And there's also the Hellbound podcast, Michael J. and Alex Blackburn.
Are they on a hiatus? I haven't seen new episodes show up my feed in a while.
Very well could be. Well could be. I haven't seen any show up either. Live Long Podcast we have. If you like Star Trek, we do all kinds of things over there. We have beautiful logos. We have great intelligent shows like Locutors of Trek. We launch probes and dig into the deep issues and the deep conversations and have fun. And we do silly skits, all kinds of things. Then there's a whole science division, which is basically just spin-off shows from Locutors of Trek's early season. So there's lots going on there.
I just like the word probe. I mean, it always makes me laugh.
Class L Probe, it's a great show.
Yeah.
We launch all kinds of probes.
You got
want to hear the Class L? Want to hear the Class L Probe intro? Why not?
Sure.
Of course you do.
Let's launch a probe into it.
We should destroy the probe. Phasers are armed and ready.
Sometimes the probes get destroyed, but it happens.
But
we also have
the
the probes happen. 3 probes per show.
It's a lot of probes.
So you bet it is a lot of probes. There's also Star Trek Radio Theater we do, which we're going to do, I don't know when yet, but we're going to do a little version of that over here on this show. We're going to do a little X-Men Radio Theater. I'm just trying to figure out which. I think we'll do it on a comic book. We had some ideas, but now I'm thinking it should be something more modern than our earlier ideas of stories, because it'll be less wordy and it's just more newer comics are more akin to they're more conversational on the page. They're better for acting out, I think. Less inner monologuing and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe even Jason Aaron's Amazing X-Men. I love that story, but something like that. But we'll figure it out. We'll do a little X-Men Radio Theater. That'll be fun. And of course, there's a Command Division where they review all the Star Trek stuff. We're doing the Strange New Worlds reviews right now, and the other newer shows when they come out, their newer seasons. And Deep Space Nine reviews. They're doing Enterprise reviews right now. I believe the next one's on Wednesday instead of their usual Monday. So check that out. Enterprise at 8. I think that's it.
Take your time. I'll be gone in a minute.
Hey, well, I guess we should get out of here.
I guess so. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and thanks, Davan, for being Davan. And,
that's just wonderful. You too, buddy. Thanks for designing me a business. Yeah, thanks for being Davan today and designing me that business sign. I appreciate that. Someday
the rent will come due, my friend.
It's gonna. I know. It's It's gonna look great on my truck. I'll tell you that.
I didn't even know you had a truck. You're a truck guy. For you to be driving like a Tesla or an electric car of some kind.
What do you think? I'm landscaping in a Tesla?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems
Think
like
I'm dumping gravel and loading slate and dumping soil and mulch onto my Tesla?
Well, you could do it in your Cybertruck. That comes out soon.
What is that?
The Tesla Cybertruck. Check it out. It looks like it's from an 80s video game. I think it's the coolest looking thing ever. Just Google Cybertruck and tell me what you think.
Elon Musk is weird.
Yeah, of course he is. But so is anybody that does any kind of scientific innovation. I'm not saying I agree with him. I kind of think he's just more of a carnival barker than an actual contributor. He just takes credit for the things that other people do. But yeah, check it out.
Kind of like you. No, just kidding. Kind of like me.
We're all carnival barkers.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right, brother.
All right. Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time.
We'll I'll see you soon. We'll hook up and exchange things. You'll give me them signs.
Hopefully, I should be able to get them by the end of the week. So if I'm planning to go in and do a movie day in the city on the weekend. So
very fun. Very fun.
We can have dinner.
We
maybe
need to talk about that in front of the desk.
Sure.
I
haven't seen you. I've actually never seen you in person since the show started. So you should probably rectify that. I would make sure you're not just a hologram or some kind of AI program that's got run amok.
We'll videotape it for the X-Goons.
All right.
All right. Catch you later. Catch you next time.
Feels so good.
Why not? I'm just wasting my time here.